to start the connector, you are going to go to this transaction code /Ludecke/XTM. We've done a little bit of pre-work here, which means we've set up the connection to XTM, imported the certificate, and so on. You can refer to the documentation to find out how to do that in your SAP system. Now, maybe the most important thing on this screen is the worklist ID. A translation worklist is a feature of the SAP standard tools, and it's basically a place where you can put objects that you want to translate. And in this case, we're going to use worklist number 7. And in your own SAP system, you can simply refer to the SAP standard documentation to find out how to create a worklist and how to put objects into it. Now, one of the objects that we've put into this worklist is this one here, which is text elements from this one report here. And that's the object that we're going to import. It's the only one in this worklist. So let's fill out the fields on the screen here. Let's select a target language. Let's pick French. Now the object selection section on the lower half of the screen here is basically a filter on top of the objects that are in this worklist. We can restrict the selection by packages. We're not going to do that. We're simply going to select all packages in the system. We can also select a bunch of object types that are supported here, but we're simply going to select all object types. We're going to include translated lines. We're not going to make those lines editable for translators. They're simply going to be grayed out. And we're not including any long texts, F1 help, forms, or SO10 texts in this export. There are none of those in this worklist. What we are going to do though is check this checkbox here, which means that untranslated texts in this worklist are going to be sent to SAP Translation Hub. SAP Translation Hub is going to check for matches in the multilingual text repository, and any matches that are found will be included in the upload to XTM Cloud. If you want to learn more about SAP Translation Hub or multilingual text repository, you can refer to the documentation from SAP that's available for SAP Translation Hub. We're also going to use a reference language. We're going to pick German here, which basically means the multilingual text repository is checked twice. Once it's checked for a French text that matches the English source text, as well as an existing German translation, if there is one. And then if it doesn't find a match that way, it will also check again without worrying about the German and just comparing and just looking for French matches that fit the English source text. So I've already hit the Start Export button here. So now the texts are going to be sent to SAP Translation Hub first, and then the resulting text as well as the source text obviously are going to be uploaded to XTM Cloud. An analysis is performed from the XTM Cloud side, and all the results are communicated back to us, and you can see them here in this results screen. You can see that we exported for target language French, that there's the project ID for the XTM project that was created. Text type is short texts. One object was exported with a total of 13 lines. There were new lines, modified lines, and some translated lines. There were 5 texts that did not get a match from SAP Translation Hub, 6 texts that got a match, also considering any German translation, right, for English and German, that's the reference language feature, and 2 texts got a match the regular way because no match was found for those texts using the reference language. The rest of the numbers here are the analysis done by XTM, so you can see there's a bunch of ICE matches. There's open words, there's done words, there's only 2 no match words, and we're going to translate those in a second. Let's click the link here and jump to XTM Cloud. Let's go to the Workflow tab and assign the one file that we have here to a translator. We're going to pick Jacob, and let's start the translation process. Now the project is prepared, and an email was sent to Jacob to let him know that he can start translating and to provide a link for him to open to access the translations of the texts. Let's go to our email program here and refresh. That's the email to Jacob. As Jacob, we're now going to log in to XTM. Let's log in as Jacob. confirm the message. Then we're already in the task screen. Open the one file that we have. You can see that for each line, an ID is displayed below the line, which provides the SAP system object type, object name, and key. So this is ID-based translation, which means we can be sure that the texts are going to be matched the correct way if they're ever translated again. Now you can see there's a bunch of ICE matches. There's a modified text which I'm going to confirm. At the bottom there's some translated text that are grayed out because the translator is not supposed to edit those. Let's maybe also confirm the last one here. I think we can finish the project. Now we can go back to the SAP system, go back one step here and use this button to jump to the screen for importing texts. Using the select button, we can select the last import here. You can see that a bunch of fields already have been populated with the right values. We're going to select to overwrite translated texts. We have to again provide our password to XTM Cloud, and we're going to select to create translation proposals, which basically means the texts that are imported are also added to the SAP internal translation memory, which is called the proposal pool. So now we're going to start the import, and you can see here that the import is already done. Again, we get the project number, we get the completion status, and one object was imported, 13 lines were imported, and you can again see the XTM analysis that's also provided here. Let's go to the object that we were looking at earlier. Let's call it up again, and you can see that all the texts are translated now.